First thing about the 5 First Saturdays is that our Lord himself wants it. And he makes it very plain that he is the one really asking for it. Sister Lucy was a postulant, a Dorothean postulant. She had just entered the order in 1925. She had been trained by the sisters, the Dorothean sisters, in Portugal, in Porto, not far from Porto. And she decided to join the sisters that convent in 1925. On December 10th, she was in her convent cell. And Pontevedra, in case it's a small Spanish city, it's about an hour or so from the Spanish-Portuguese border in the north. And in this convent, as she was there, our Lord came to her as a child of about 12 years old. And he was standing on a cloud. And beside him was the Blessed Virgin Mary with her Immaculate Heart exposed. And Sister Lucy knelt in their presence, and the child Jesus spoke first. And he said, "Behold the heart of your mother, all circled with thorns, which ungrateful men put there at every moment by their blasphemies and ingratitude." We think about the word ingratitude. I've mentioned that the Blessed Virgin, first of all, is our mother. If you go back to the crucifixion, our Lord says, "Behold your mother," speaking to St. John, but St. John representing all the disciples of our Lord. That the Blessed Virgin became fully the mother of our Lord's disciples at the crucifixion. And that she is our mother because she generates us into the order of grace. And you'll find this in the Second Vatican Council, in chapter 8, I forget the paragraph right now, but that the Blessed Virgin is called our mother because she truly generates us into the life of sanctifying grace. And that is her title. And when René Laurentin and others wanted to minimalize Our Lady's role, they wanted her to be called Mother simply because she gives a good example. And the Theological Commission of the Council said, no, it's much more than that. Certainly she gives a good example, but it's much more than that. And of course this is in keeping with the teaching of the Church that Mary is the mediatrix of all graces, and that Mary is the dispensatrix of all graces, and that she's co-redemptrix. That graces are given to us through the instrumentality of the Blessed Virgin, and that in fact she generates the life of us. There's 2 lives in us. One is our natural life we receive from our natural mother, and one is our supernatural life we receive from our supernatural mother, the Blessed Virgin Mary. And so at your baptism, it is not only the action of the priest or the minister of the Church, but it is also the action of the Blessed Virgin operating secretly in your soul at the same moment, generating grace in your soul. And as St. Augustine tells us, and St. Louis de Montfort, that the Blessed Virgin, we are born of the Blessed Virgin when we enter into heaven, but our supernatural life is begun of the Blessed Virgin when she generates grace in our soul at baptism. And so all the sacraments have the action of the Blessed Virgin as well. This is the subject of my thesis for my licentiate, and so I don't want to spend too much time here on it. My simple point here is our Lord, first of all, says, "Behold the heart of your mother." He's speaking to Sister Lucy, and it is not just a pious phrase, but in fact it's literally true that the Blessed Virgin is our mother. And our Lord wants us then to treat her as our mother and to have compassion on her heart, and that her heart is pained, her heart is pierced by these thorns. And these thorns are the blasphemies and ingratitudes of men. Most of creation does not recognize the Blessed Virgin's role. Most Catholics, unfortunately, are ignorant about their obligations towards the Blessed Virgin as their mother. And most Catholics are not aware that they can console the Blessed Virgin by their acts of reparation. So our Lord says to them, to Lucy, and through her to all of us, behold the heart of your mother, all circled with thorns, which ungrateful men put there at every moment by their blasphemies and ingratitude. Do you at least seek to console her by making acts of reparation? And so then the Blessed Virgin, with her hand on Lucy's shoulder, her left hand on Lucy's shoulder, speaks and says to her, behold my Immaculate Heart, all circled with thorns, which ungrateful men put there at every moment by their blasphemies and ingratitude. Do you at least seek to console me by making reparation, and announce in my name that I promise to come at the hour of death with all the graces necessary for salvation to those souls who on the first Saturday of 5 consecutive months go to confession, receive Holy Communion, pray 5 decades of the Rosary, and keep me company for 15 minutes while meditating on the mysteries of the Rosary. Doing this with the intention of making reparation to me. So here you have Our Lady's great promise for this little act of reparation. It would, and it is, would be and is a consolation to her that we do the 5 first Saturdays. Of course, we don't have to wait till the first Saturday of the month to make acts of reparation. That is clear enough from the prayer Our Lady taught on July 13th, when she told them to, when you make a sacrifice, say the following prayer: O my Jesus, it is for love of you, for the conversion of sinners, and in reparation for sins against the Immaculate Heart of Mary, I offer this sacrifice to you. And so we can make sacrifices, and we should make sacrifices every day. And certainly one of the intentions to offer these sacrifices is in reparation for sins against the Immaculate Heart.